The book on Jared Goff has always been to heat him up, pressure him to get him rattled and uncomfortable. So this year, defenses are blitzing him with 5 or more pass rushers 40% of the time, second highest in the league, and yet he is shredding them. When blitzed, he's completing 76% of his passes, second highest, averages 10.7 yards per attempt, also second highest, and has scorched him for 9 touchdowns. A quarterback who's been uncomfortable with pressure for years has become one of the most blitzed quarterbacks in the league, has taken his weakness and made it his strength. What has he done to improve so much, and what is the trick the Lions and Ben Johnson have used to help him? Before we answer those questions, I want to thank this season's sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports site where you can play a player's number every day. They have any sport you can think of, almost any stat you can think of. If you want to make sports even more fun and win money doing it, PrizePicks, yep. To play, you choose 2 to 6 players and select whether they go more or less than their projection. I'll take Garrett Wilson more than 68.5. The Jets have been heating up. And I'll take Nico Collins more than 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns, which by the way is marked as a demon pick, meaning PrizePicks will give me better payouts because it's less likely to happen. PrizePicks has the fastest withdrawals of any daily fantasy app I've used. You load up the app, you are done hella quick. They're also doing a deal where if you use my promo code Rollins, you put in just $5, they will give you $50 for free. That's promo code Rollins. One of the most shocking revelations from researching this episode is how often the Lions use play action when blitzed. They already use it the second most in all situations at 37%. Well, that climbs all the way up to 55% when blitzed. This speaks to Ben Johnson's ability to game plan and anticipate when they're getting blitzed, so they can attack defenses when they have less bodies in coverage. And it also speaks to Jared Goff's ability, because when he's blitzed and they're running play action, he is completing 82% of his passes, 12 yards per attempt, a 152 quarterback rating. Ben Johnson loves calling play action against the blitz because it simplifies the look for Goff. Each of their concepts have 3 quick, easy elements to read: the alert, the crosser, and the checkdown. An alert route is usually a deeper route that runs off the coverage to keep any deep safeties out of the way. It's not in the progression, but if Goff senses it's open, he'll throw it. Then once he hits his back foot, it's crosser to checkdown, and the timing with which he can execute these concepts, where he hits his back foot to throw the crosser, or if it's not there, he hitches and throws a checkdown to Sonic the Hedgehog Jahmyr Gibbs. One reason the Lions' play-action concepts are so effective against the blitz is because the defensive line has to respect the run, so they're not firing upfield like you would on a blitz, which you have to do since you have less coverage bodies behind you. But the line is a bit passive and gives Goff plenty of time to cook. When the Lions' play-action is hitting and affecting the second level of the coverage, that's when the crosser elements begins to open up. You can see Goff hit the top of his drop, vision Drake Thomas sucked super far up, so he's sprinting backwards to cover the crosser, so Goff zips it into him nice and easy. The toughest thing about throwing these over-the-middle crossers with play action is turning your back to the defense. How do you know a safety or linebacker isn't lurking right in your passing window if you can't see them? But Goff is one of the best in the league at gathering as much information possible pre-snap, post-snap, to make sure he's getting exactly what he wants. Pre-snap, he sees 2 deep safeties and 2 underneath linebackers, so he knows he either has to be ready for a safety rotation down, turning this into a 1-high coverage, or one of the linebackers getting in his crosser window. Anticipating the Vikings were gonna blitz his ass, they blitzed him 64% of the time in this one. You can see Ivan Pace all stiff. You can see him compared to Joshua Metellus not blitzing. Goff's been doing this for almost a decade. He can read Pace like a book, but he still has to confirm post-snap, so watch him steal a glance to confirm Pace is coming. So by the time he turns his back, he just has to check both safeties are deep. Yep. So with Pace blitzing and the safeties back, it's just Metellus he has to beat. While his post-snap ability is impressive, he's able to quickly process a ton of information without even looking at his receiver the majority of the play, It's his pre-snap ability that really stands out. Check how once again pace is stiff, primed to blitz, kinda giving it away. So Goff gives his little hand sign to Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot. With all the Vikings bunched to the line, Goff sees a cornerback matched with a receiver, but the safety way off of Amon-Ra. So while this is a called run play, he flips it out to Amon-Ra to pick up an easy gain against the blitz. Here is my favorite play of the week, where the Vikings are trying to trick him. We've always talked about how 99% of the time, when nobody follows the receiver across the formation, it's a zone coverage tell. But Brian Flores is trying to trick him. When Goff fakes a snap and sees pace start to come, the other backer too, he knows that means he has his receiver Khalil Raymond on a safety, so it's a position mismatch where if a cornerback had followed the receiver, Goff would know it's man, so he picks up an easy 5 yards. He puts so much trust in what he's seeing pre-snap, then he confirms it post-snap, which allows him to anticipate windows at an unbelievably high level. He sees this safety rotate down, and then look at when he releases the ball. Look at how he fits it into this micro-sized window. Goff is the man, and him, paired with Ben Johnson, they've become one of the best duos in the league. Johnson just makes everything easier for him, where instead of Goff having to worry about 5 things at once, he puts just one thing on his plate so he can easily execute the game plan. The Cowboys are throwing a curveball with their defense in man coverage. Usually DeMarvion overshown as Jahmyr Gibbs in man since he's closer, so the Cowboys would typically blitz Damone Clark if they're sending one of the backers. So the Lions slide towards Clark and man up Penei Sewell on Carl Lawson, but the Cowboys trick him and force Penei Sewell to what's called a big duel, where he has his man, but if overshown blitzes Sewell, will peel off to take the closer rusher to Goff to give Goff just that much more time. Goff stays poised, trusts that Sewell will do his job. This play speaks to the Lions' scheme, their coaching, and Goff's ability to execute under pressure. Johnson gives each of the players simple instructions for complex scenarios. Great offensive coordinators are able to give their players if-then scenarios, where they don't have to do a ton of thinking, just, hey, do your assignment, but if this one other thing happens, adjust it. You can see Goff and the center Frank Ragnow identifying where they're going to slide the line, but then Ragnow sees safety Donovan Wilson creeping into the box ready to blitz, so he makes a call to his line, adjusts his own assignment, completely whips around ready for Wilson, and the Lions pick up another explosive play. Johnson's also good at using formations and motion to dictate more predictable vanilla coverages and pre-snap coverage tells. He loves this unstoppable man beater, where, first, check out how the bunch formation up top confuses the Titans' nickel cornerback Roger McCreary. When he runs over to line up over the bunch, Goff knows this is man coverage, so he checks to Ben Johnson's favorite man beater. Putting a receiver in motion running away from one-on-one man coverage, this is simply impossible to defend in straight man, and Goff easily converts the first down. Then, just like all great coordinators do, he uses the same look, but packages a play off of it to keep the defenders back on their toes. And, while the call is great, the minute details are even better. You'd think Allen Robinson would block the most outside, and Amon-Ra the most inside. But Johnson realizes how hard it'll be for both his receivers to maintain inside leverage to wall off the defenders. So he switch releases them, and they're both able to throw good blocks down the field. Jared Goff is playing arguably the best ball of his life right now, and he's firmly in the MVP conversation, something I didn't think I'd ever hear again after he left the Rams. The NFL has tried to pressure him to throw him off his game, which has worked in the past, but now he's dealing against the blitz. His weakness has become his strength. By using play-action passes, exceptional pre- and post-snap processing, and mastering their scheme, that is one of the best in the league, Goff, Ben Johnson, and the Detroit Lions are rolling. They are arguably the best team in the NFL, and even though NFL defenses think they have found a chink in their armor, blitzing Goff, he has made them pay. The Lions have finally done it. They've gotten better every single year, and so has Goff. As we head into the second half of the season, the roar has finally been restored.